This week's episode of the Peter Montgomery Show is proudly brought to you by SavvSME. Simply smarter, simply social, the social network for Australian business owners. Well, g'day, Phil. Welcome to the show, mate. Great to have you on.
Oh, it's really good to be here, Peter. Love your show, so I'm on it.
Excellent, man. Yeah, I've been looking forward to having you on because we've had Wendy on, and yeah, like I've always planned on getting you on, and so we went to the SavvSME thing the other night, and that was really awesome. And we'll probably touch on that a bit, talk about what that was and kind of where that's going. But first
For
up,
sure.
for people who may not know who you are and what you do, could you just talk a bit about your company and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, SavvSME is really a social network for small businesses in Australia. So you know how you have Facebook for friends, and you've got LinkedIn for professionals and resumes and what have you. SavvSME is really tailored around serving the small businesses, particularly in Australia. So what we're trying to do is provide that rich local contacts and connections that people can build relationships with service providers, experts, trust advisors, whatever name you give them, but the people that can literally help you start and grow your business, going forward. So it's really a place to hang out in a way that is valuable, for them. So we don't expect them to sort of dwell around the network, per se, but really come in, ask a question, get answers, meet the people that they need to do, meet people that they need, and get on with doing their business. So it's all about helping them do that a lot more productively and effectively.
Okay, so how are some of the ways that people can get that help? So we'll dig into why you actually created the thing in the first place.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like when you say jump in, get information, and jump out, what kind of information are you talking about?
So information that can, I guess, help them with their day-to-day challenges. So a lot of businesses, I guess, if you think about it, you don't have a lot of the support, structure that you have that the larger organizations have. So small businesses tend to do a lot, themselves, and having that, support network around them is invaluable. A place where they can just come in and ask questions about, it could be questions about marketing, it could be questions, just about HR. I've got an issue that I'm dealing with, right now, and this is the context. Has anyone been through this kind of experience? More importantly, for those qualified service providers that can provide help, for me, can you just give me an answer on what I should do here? Just that rich perspective of been there, done that, and I guess at the end of the day, they still have to make decisions of what they need to do. But it's just a way for them to get different perspective and make that final decision at the end of the day. So a lot of information about how to run small businesses, certain things, how to get I guess feedback on certain things that I might try and do, and on the site itself, we pride ourselves in having people just ask any questions. We're not really about, oh, you've got to be intelligent, and you can perfect English and that sort of thing. You just you've got a question, you just ask, and away we go.
Okay, so and people can answer that. Like how do we know what questions? Do you have to go in there to find questions to answer? If you're someone who's looking to help, you want to join in the conversation. How do the members find out about those questions that are related to them?
Oh, look, we do a lot in the background. When you first sign up, we basically get you to fill out a profile, and from that profile, we gather your area of expertise. That you said you can help with, and I think we made it a lot easier by having a way to structure it and target certain people that might be able to help based on the questions that have been asked. So it's just a way of managing the information on the site, that we don't sort of bombard you with all the information that you then have to go and weave through and find out what's relevant. But rather we have a way of making sure that the right people who are qualified in that particular area can see that question quickly, and can respond to it if he or she can help with you with that.
Okay, so you get notified how, like exactly how you're getting notified. So say for example, like because I know I'm in it, I love that SavvSME, I'm a fan. But so for people that don't know, that aren't in there yet, when when I fill out a profile, for me, I put my interests in. Is that what you're using to then say, okay, well, there's a question about SEO or there's a question about video marketing? Anyone that's put that in as on their profile, is that what you're using to then send out an email to notify us that, hey, there's a question here, you might be able to answer it, or it might even be a question you've had yourself that you haven't asked yet, but someone else did.
Yeah, that's right. It's part of that. But at the end of the day, it's really a site that helps with interacting using content. So it's very much based on topics of interest, subject matter expertise, things that I guess will attract them to the site, a lot more than other topics. So if I'm interested in social media marketing, for instance, and I may be a social media expert, then when someone asks a question around social media, I would be pretty much the first person to see it. Now it really comes down to how I guess put my settings in email notifications and so forth. But the idea is to make sure that the answers that needed to be answered are answered by the right people in the fastest possible way.
Okay. And so but there's the other side of things too, is if you've just got content that you want to put out there, what's the platform that you're using there? How does that work? So, you want to write something about SEO, you can just put it in there. Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, we have a way for, I guess, members of the community to promote, to build their brand, and doing so in a way that is not self-promotional. So we have a blogging platform, and that blogging platform, is where you can, write articles, post it, and have, members of the community view it, read it, comment, rate it, even share it, on their own social network. In fact, we have a feature where we help them to do that automatically, just for convenience, factor. But it's a very powerful way, for someone who is writing an article to get a lot of views very quickly within a very short period of time. So again, it's about helping productivity and getting the efficiency, into that platform, so that people can feel that, look, if I write an article, there's obviously going to be views. There'll be people who are, just as engaging and like-minded, members of the community that would, share their own experience, based on what you've written and so forth. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what I found is really interesting is, so you put an article in, say you put it in an article directory, you don't know if people are watching it or anything or whatever. But what I've liked about it is when you do write an article, someone rates it, you get it's a 5-star rating, I think it's 5 stars. Someone rates it, as soon as they click that button, you get a notification that so-and-so rated your article. Yes. You can go back in and see who that is. And this is what I personally do. I go and check them out. So if they rate my article, I go, oh, who's that? And then I go look at their stuff. And if they're interesting to me, I go look at their website. So there's a lot of tools you've set in place that really, it's just like, it's almost live. As soon as someone does it happens, I can go check them out and find on Facebook or whatever. Like, how long have you been working on creating that kind of connectivity?
Well, look, the idea probably started a couple of years ago. Give you a little bit of background in terms of
Yeah, well, let's get your story. Why did you start this whole thing in the first place?
My business partner and I were working in management consulting, for quite a number of years. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I quit my job, at the corporate world, and decided that, look, I might take a year off and just do some soul searching and work out what I want to do. I wanted to go into areas of online businesses and helping businesses grow. That's always been my passion, during all that time, in my consulting career. And small medium businesses are, if you like, the engine room of economy. And it was, I guess, it was a bit distant, if you like, in terms of what we think we can achieve. Whilst we're working, in our consulting career, it was really hard to think about things outside of the company that I was working in. But when I had that year off, I focused on the property business that I have, which is all about buying properties and renovating and then selling them or renting them out. And I was doing everything from managing buying and selling agents to digging trenches in the 40-degree heat. So I had a good tan, but it wasn't it wasn't a very productive way to actually scale the business. I needed people to help me, with that, and it was just an arduous process. It was really difficult to try and find people that could really understand my business, and there wasn't anywhere that I could go to find people like that who's the goods, that I know is the goods, who I can trust, who's the right cultural fit, as well. You can Google it, but Google just gives you a whole, lot of information that you just have to try and decipher, for yourself. I rang, family and friends, even, look in places like Yellow Pages. You just view that, I guess, or just that confidence, that those are the right type of people. So it was a lot of try and error. I actually had to, bring a few people on, and then, some of them didn't work out. Some of them couldn't work with each other. Just a lot of argy-bargy that I could have, just avoided. So at the end of the day, I thought, hang on a second, there must be that this, mustn't be just an isolated problem. Surely I'm not the only one who's struggling with this. And we thought, okay, there might be something here, but look, we're not, a big corporate. We are a startup. What can we do physically and do well? And that's how we sort of carve a market out from that small business, I guess the small business or SME sector, to say, all right, and I think the space that we've decided to work on is the B2B side of things, where we can really help one side of the market, which is small businesses themselves finding information a lot more effectively. And then the other side of the market, where you've got service providers who are looking to generate leads, and trying to convert those leads into sales. At the end of the day, you can ask questions, and people might be generous enough to help you, but if they don't have, I guess, the incentive to do that, for the longer term, then it's just going to dry out. There's no real incentive for them. So what we try and do is, I guess, put together a platform where we can bring those both sides of the market together. And have a way to incentivize them, so that in the longer term they can see the value of what they've invested in that community, and that's where SavvSME, came about. I reached out to my, best mate, the other Phil, and basically said, how about we go at this? And we knew that we wanted, to go into the online space. It's something that has been quite close to our heart, for a while, but it was a lot about making sure that we have, the right people involved. So we went out hunting for co-founders, and that's where we found, Wendy and Misha. Amazing team. Love it. We have a very strong co-founding team, and it's all about, I guess, sharing that passion and that vision of helping, small businesses. All of us have run businesses before, so we're, very aware of the struggles that they go through. We bring different experience, to the table, from B2B to digital marketing, the sales, and even the technical, side of it, and bring all that, into a melting pot of saying, okay, now that we've got the right people on the bus, where can we go? Where can we take this? So I've got a high level sort of vision and view of, how we can move this along. But at the end of the day, it was really a team effort, building that concept and making sure that all the details, and you know what it's like, you can build a platform. There's a lot that goes into it to make sure that it's easy to use and so forth.
Okay, so I'll just sort of try and recap some of what you said there. So you had the problem of needing people to help you build your property business, couldn't find them, so it was a very ad hoc, Yellow Pages, Google, and it's kind of fairly messy. So from that original problem that you had, you've created the solution to your own problem, essentially. How can we create this and then share it out there so other people can benefit from this? Now, you talked about an incentive, right? So people have that incentive to kind of participate and be generous and give their information. What is that incentive? Like, how does that work?
Well, the site is centered around building, if you like, a professional profile, a profile of reputation, and that reputation is based on your contribution to the site. So whenever you ask a question, and if you ask a good question, or even if you just ask a question that somebody else haven't thought of, or you were just too afraid to ask, you can get voted up on that. That helps with your reputation on the site. When you answer a question and people like what you have done, what you've said, and they've voted it up, that adds to your reputation. when you write an article and put that out on blog and people read it and comment on it, and you build a reputation. So at the end of the day, B2B is all about trust, and trust is built on the basis of having a reputation in the community itself. So we have kept it really simple. Basically, reputation just simply means that you're that sort of person that knows your stuff, that are willing to help out, you're active on the side, we have a way to sort of put even the photos, just the images at the top, because we want to recognize that these are the guys. And Peter, you're up there as well, which is a testament to, I guess, your willingness to share, and it's that sort of, I guess, cultural fit that at the end of the day, small businesses are looking for. Well, that's what I was looking for. I wasn't willing to sort of pick up a phone and have the receptionist tell me that this phone call is going to cost $400 an hour. I would just want you to know that before I put you through.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, hang on a second. I just want to ask a very simple question, mate. It's just not going to take very long. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really finding that balance of making sure that there's a site of people that are like that, and having the incentive of knowing that when they build a reputation, and over time that reputation is going to grow, as well. For instance, when you blog about something SEO, for instance, and over time, when people are looking for SEO type content, they're Googling it, they come to our site, they have a look at it, they read it, they know who you are, they go and have a look at your profile, they might even contact you. They probably will if you've written something and they feel that they can, what you've said resonated with them.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's really about finding that you got to have that right feeling about a service provider, and what better way to do that than to have a look at some of the things that have contributed, and how they have responded to certain questions and so forth. I'll give you an example. We have a I guess a small business owner who has come in and asked pretty general accounting question. It was very much tax related, and then you have the odd accountants that come out and say, well, tax, that's the holy grail. If anyone can crack that nut and all that sort of thing,
yeah.
What you really need to do is just pick up a phone and just give me a call.
Yeah.
And then you have another accountant that did exactly the same, but then you have another accountant that came in and said, oh, hang on a second, okay, so you're talking about tax, right? And I know that you've said in broken English and all that, but it doesn't really matter. But these are the things that I think you might be able to do to help your business with tax. First get your structure of the business right, and make sure that you're keeping receipts, make sure that you're keeping track of what you're spending and those sort of things. So it's a lot more holistic in terms of, I guess, an answer to a very generic question of someone who, to be honest, doesn't really know where the starting point is. And this person has probably been running businesses for a little while, could be doing very well, but just because they come across as a little bit, I guess, vague, but with the right intentions, and having the mix of different people answering that, it's very easy for this person to go and have a look at the answers and go, okay, who do you think I want to work with? The person who's more helpful, or the person who's just really impatient and trying to sort of just get that give me a call and go from there, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So versus rather than just trying to get the sale, someone who's just genuinely been helpful.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny how givers attract. That's like a saying I've heard. I think I got it from a book I got up there, The Go Giver. And it's generally like givers attract people. If you're generous, people come to you. But if you're just trying to get the sale, people tend to just run away.
Yes.
So it's like,
at the end of the day, is building a reputation. building a profile, a brand, for yourself. As that person who is engaging, who's willing to go out there and just help out. And knowing that these people will come back to you, and the platform enables service provider to really shine, not just within the community but outside as well. So when you think about how the content is shared across different social networks, across different pockets, and then it just stays there on the site. So that when over time, when someone is searching for, okay, how do I save tax for my business, they will come to that question. And the people who have answered it will shine. It's just literally as simple as that.
Yeah. No, I'm just sort of thinking on that for a second. There's a couple of examples that I'm sort of thinking of where that whole reputation and connection resonation thing kind of works. Where there's a thing I call down the pub marketing. Now, if you go down the pub once, jump on the table and say, "Hey, everyone, I got these products for sale. They're really awesome. Come and buy them." Versus if you just hang around there for a year or two, people just get to know you. They get to know you're the carpenter. So you become like, for that community, you're the carpenter. If anyone got a building issue they need fixed, hey, just go speak to Jake or Dave or Joe, like, whatever your name is, just go speak to them.
You look after
people will point to you and say, "Hey, there's the carpenter. Go talk to him." So if you hang around in the community for long enough, that's what's going to kind of work for you. So that's kind of what you're saying. If you contribute over time, it's like a long-term view of things rather than jump in and get the sale.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. You've put it so well. It's the place where people know you by your name. It's the place that you feel at home. You can just go and ask a question and not feel silly about it because no one is going to judge you for it. And you can just, it's a really good feeling. And I think, it was hard for us, like, when we first started out, it was hard to know what we were getting into. We knew that we wanted an online model, so that we could scale. We knew that we could experience that we could, the B2B experience that we've had, we could bring that, to the fore. But at the end of the day, until such time we build it and have people using it, you have no idea how people are going to interact with it, But over the last, few months, the interaction has just been phenomenal. People are answering each other's questions. We hardly have any unanswered questions. And it's just really bring to life, the vision that we've, spent so much time, I guess, articulating and working through. And it's just amazing feeling, it's like I said, building that pub that everybody really wants to hang out in, because people are just friendly, people are just looking for each other when they're there, and they're looking to help each other. So as a community, we're actually learning and we're growing. And it's a lot to do with that camaraderie, that sense of mateship, wanting to help each other in the community.
Yeah. I've actually had an example of that just the other day where someone actually called me. I think they called the office there to get my number and or email or something, and they contacted me because they went, they saw it on as a I'm not one for bragging and stuff like that, but they saw I'm a top influencer there because I'm active in that community, and they went, I just wanted to check you out and see what you're doing. Because you're there, you're obviously doing some stuff. Yeah, what are you about? Yes. So they actually just reached out for no other reason than that. Hey, what are you doing? And there's a couple of things that we kind of worked out where we can help each other. And so that was like just as a testimonial to that it works.
Yes.
For me, it's worked. I reckon that's really awesome. That's
awesome.
Having a real life example of that is cool. So we had the event the other night at the SavvSME headquarters. You put the thing out there to come, and you had a presentation of stuff that you're doing and the latest, or actually probably like the first step into the business model of how SavvSME is now going to sort of fund itself to keep going because a business is in the business of making money, so it can stay in business.
For sure.
So can you talk a bit about that first step you've taken, that business model, and just talk about what you presented? I guess just briefly, because it was a whole night for us. But just talk a bit about what that is and how that's going to work for people.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are building a social network, and it's about helping people to connect and interact through content. But it's also about B2B, so business to business relationship, business to business, lead generation and sales, and at the end of the day, is knowing that it's a place that you can count on to find whatever you need, whatever help that you need, in your small business. That's the big vision, right? And the little steps that we're taking, towards that. We've spent the last, I guess, 4 to 5 months, really, building some traction in that, social network. And the next step for us was to say, okay, now we're gonna bring up, I guess, to the surface, businesses that have a way to promote themselves, to the rest of the community, but still, I guess, align with the fact that we're not about self promotion. It is about making sure that exposure is targeted in a manner which people feel that it's not a hard sell. It's really about letting people sort of browse and discover for themselves. So we've introduced what's called a Savvy business plan. It is a very affordable plan, but it's a way for businesses who really wants to sort of put their name out there within the community, and they can do so by a business profile page. It's pretty rich, featured profile page. So it's more like a mini site within this and social network. It's almost equivalent to a website. The only difference is that when you build a website, you're going to find people to design it. You're going to find people to build it. Put content up. But at the end of the day, you still have to spend quite a bit, to try and drive traffic, to that website. Whereas when you have a profile page, within a social network, like ours, it's a lot easier to get visibility. It's a lot easier to get exposure. And that combined with a few other features that we have, so that they can, I guess, promote their business in a way that's non confrontational, if you like, and it makes them look good. So we're pretty stoked about that. We've had a few uptakes, so far. We've only released it yesterday. That night that we were introducing it, we were really just talking about the idea and letting people know this is coming. Mm-hmm. We also have a way to, I guess, incentivize the early adopters. People who are willing to sort of come on quickly. We've given them sort of 2 months free trial, and it's just a way to sort of show that, look, you might be able to sort of find this valuable, but if you never try it, you never know. So here's a way for you to sort of just get started.
Okay, what are some of the features on there? Let's talk about, so like there's a place for kind of like references or testimonials.
Yeah, it's a business profile page. So what you can do is you can describe more about your company, what you do, where you are. There's a little map that shows. You can go to different tabs, where you can outline the products and service offerings that you provide. And it's extremely important to do that because, the algorithms that we use in our search engine on the site provides a way for people to find your business if you're categorizing your products and services in the right way. If you're not doing that, or you're not filling that out, or what have you, then you really miss the opportunity for someone to find you a lot easier. They'll still find you if you've built your reputation as a top influencer in the social networks. When it comes to using the directory itself, you might miss out.
So you're talking about if someone types into Google, in other search engines, they type something in that SavvSME, your business profile page can come up on Google. Is that what you're talking about there? If you categorize it correctly?
Yes, that's right. Both in Google. Now we're still fairly new site. Over time, our ranking in Google will grow. But
it's doing well now.
It's doing really well. When people just put up a user profile and they get onto the first page straight away, which is great. But when and then I guess we have our SEO strategy behind the scene as well. Making sure that when people are looking for certain services, and that you have a business profile page on a site that ranks quite highly, that you get the front row view. So it's really a very powerful way of businesses establishing a presence within a social network that's growing and doing well. So you're exposing your business to the members of the community, but over time it also helps with your branding outside of the social network as well. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other features that they can do on that business profile page as well. You can put up things like past projects, that's important for validation. You can get testimonials onto the site. You can also recruit followers within the social network, and it's really powerful because when you have followers, you can engage them directly. Mm-hmm. So these are people that are interested in your business, not necessarily to buy from you, but they're just interested in what you do. But you know what it's like. People tend to sort of move from searching and buying to actually browsing and discovery. So they'll remember you. It's like your pub example. People will sort of say, "Oh, you're a carpenter. That's great." But I don't have any carpentry stuff at the moment. But 6 months down the track, I say, "Oh, hang on a second. I do have some carpentry work that needs to be done." Guess who comes to mind? So is that sort of concept? When you have a presence on a site like this, it really makes your business rise up and show forth the expertise that you have. And if you're one of the top influencers that spend all that time building your reputation, then you just get up there in terms of your priority in the business directory.
Okay, and what other little features are in there as well that you can talk about?
That there's a lot of it, but I, I think the best thing to do is really just to take up the 2 months trial and see for yourself.
Yeah.
It's really easy to set up. I think someone have just done it and it's just taken half an hour. Imagine setting up a presence on the internet in half an hour.
Yeah.
And have all your details and be about a company and it looks good. It's got a big banner across it. It's got your logo. It's got your representatives. So we have a way for you to sort of put all the people that work in your small business. You might have two, you might have three, you might have one. It doesn't really matter. But as soon as any one of those publish a blog or certain something like that, it adds to your credibility as a company. So what we're doing is basically like helping each other in your small business to get that front row seat and status, within that within this social network.
I was just thinking then, like, just as you're saying that, all the different things that it has, like, it has a lot, but it's actually very clean. It's kind of like you've got yourself combining all the cool things that are out there. It's almost like you got your own WordPress blog that gets ranked really well, without having to do too much other than write it, put it in there. There's an existing community ready to look at your stuff. Right, just ready that are interested, like that have put their hand up saying, "Hey, I'm interested in this," and you write about it, and they'll get notified and they'll go see it. It's kind of like Facebook. There's a kind of the social element of it, the professional element of kind of LinkedIn. Plus, it's also like True. Is it True Local? Is that the one? Yeah.
Yes.
And those all those other directories, Yellow Page, all those directories, Hot Frog or whatever. It's kind of like all of that, all that good stuff in one place. It's ready to go. I was just thinking about how powerful that is, to just jump in there and start getting involved in that. It's like if you were to try and set that up in all those different places, it'll take months and months to kind of piece all that together. If you were just to go out and do that individually on all those different places, it's pretty mad.
Yeah, exactly. You're on the right track. And at the end of the day, when we talk about B2B. It's not just about selling to members within the community or promoting your business within the community. It's trying to find a balance of doing it in a way that people actually like you, not hate you for spamming or whatever, and it's doing it in a way that is really effective to sort of just get across different places and different groups or networks that you've already connected with. Every time you post a blog, every time you ask a questions or answer a question, every time you contribute to the community. So we like to think that the community itself is larger, than the people who have already joined SavvSME, because the eyeballs that you're getting, the visibility that you have when you have a presence in a site that's doing well, is incredible. So I think we've had various feedback of people who have come back and say, yeah, I posted an article and I wasn't expecting much apart from readership, but then when people ring me up and say, hey, what do you do? And generating for the business and actually converting those leads into sales for the business. That's what we're about. It's really about helping small business grow that way.
Yeah. So how did you figure all this stuff out? Because it's really in depth. Like because the thing is too, like I think you talked about it too. It's about building a team. Right, and it helped to build the right team. You might have the right person for the job who works with you, but they don't work with each other very well. Like, so it's like you've created this team. How did you even figure all that out about that stuff? It's actually it's a much more complex thing. Yeah, when you sort of look deeper into it. Yeah, how did you work out? How did you become a team builder?
Oh, look, I think. The personal experience helps, right? The personal motivation, about wanting to help business and the passion about wanting to help small business really helps. But the key in what we're doing is really centered around what small business owners need or what we know that they need and what we've done in terms of research, working out, the things they really need help with, in business. For instance, just a couple of weeks ago, there was an article written about how 70% of the small businesses make decisions with their gut feel, and I think that it's important to rely on gut feel, and but a lot of that gut feel comes with experience, but it also comes with talking to other people. So if you don't have a support network or trusted advisor or people around you that you feel that you can trust them with, question and then having them, answer you in a very objective way, is quite dangerous, actually. You make critical decisions on the fly that you don't really know, whether they have the right consequence, for your business. And when you have a lot of things, hanging off that, that's just an incredible risk that I really don't think anyone should be should have to face. But in terms of building a platform, it really comes down to understanding the typical small business owner, what he or she needs, in growing their businesses. And the social network, I mean, we're not the first social network, obviously, but it's not about, trying to be somebody else. It's really, trying to build a solution that works for the business owner themselves. That's why it's a site that's exclusive for small business owners, and it's a site that we work really hard to tailor, based on the needs that they have, but also bringing in, the latest trends, of technology, of social media, of digital marketing, and all those things, to the fold, to make sure that we provide, the best of whatever that is, out there to the fingertips of the small business owner. And I say this with a little bit of cliche, but to be honest, when you see a lot of things happening, on the site, that's really simple to do, I can tell you that it's a lot harder to make things simple than it is to just, put out a whole gamut of, information and expect that people will come onto your site and just be, wowed by the fact that you've got so much stuff.
We just dropped out. For a second, but yeah, we're coming back in on. It's expensive to make those mistakes. So this is to prevent those mistakes.
Okay. So if you have a social, if you have a support network, around you, then you have the confidence of knowing that there's a place that we can just ask questions and find, different perspective, that's articulated back to you in a very objective manner. That support network is invaluable. I think a lot of people who have been successful in their business really have the mentors or the trusted advisors, people that can just call on, a laundry list of experts, that can lean on, whom they trust, who has a reputation, who've helped them before. So it's those kind of elements that we bring to the platform, and it's a great way just to meet new people who you've never met before, to provide a different perspective. It's really rich. I think it's hard to explain it with words. You've got to really use it to feel that love you like on the side. But when we look at building the platform, we looked at several things. One was, I guess, we know that we wanted to go into the online space. We know that within the online space, there's a lot, involved with, marketing, side of things. Obviously, the latest, trends in web technology, what other social networks are doing and why, and what are the ways that we can, I guess, pull all of that together, to help that single small business owner to feel special, to feel that they have all the latest things at their disposal, that they can use on a day-to-day basis. So that's sort of how we worked out the capability, if you like, that we need in the team itself, and we know that we needed someone who's been there, done that in digital marketing. Wendy has a sort of, strings of experience helping small business owners in her last gig, working for one of the largest or one of the leading Australian marketing agency. Online, she was the head of social media there, so she knows a lot about I guess just getting the word out there. But having worked with small businesses before, she also knows a lot about what it means to sort of keep things simple for them, and that's incredible. And then we have Michelle Wharton, who heads up our web development team, and he's basically has his own business before, and he knows what it's like to struggle when you have no one to call on to when you're trying to sort of buy a business or sell a business, things that might span across multiple capabilities. That could be accounting specific, it could be legal specific, but you just want to go to one place and ask the question and have different perspective, a bit of different expertise, to give you that richness of advice that you can actually use, that sort of practical advice. And then obviously we have Phil Joe, who has very extensive background in I guess B2B and selling, but also in terms of building products. So he's just very good with, I guess he's got a good eye with knowing how products sort of stack against each other, and how you sort of can build up. a lot of what we do has a long-term view. Everything that we've done is said, okay, now this is how is it going to work now, but is it going to be scalable? Is it going to be, future-proofing? How is the small business owner, that single person that joins our network, what's the experience, he or she going to have on day one? What is the experience they're going to have on day 365, and those sort of things. And then making sure that, throughout their journey in growing, as part of the social network, that is super rich, super efficient, is a place that they know that they can lean on, to come back and just search for information that is relevant to them, or just ask questions, and know that when they learn about something new, they can just post up a blog and have a lot of people who have the same interest, read it, comment on it. It's just awesome. And this will all sort of just on paper, if you like, until such time we put it out on beta just before Christmas. And since then, we've seen a lot of people keep coming back and interacting with each other. And it's just an amazing feeling knowing that we have, transformed or helped them, help enrich their lives in that way. So
yeah, look, I think you've done a fantastic job. First on building the platform, but creating or organizing the team, everyone you just sort of highlighted then, who works well together, everyone kind of works well with everyone else. I think by focusing on building that really strong team who you've drawn from all their experiences to create this platform. Now, something that I noticed when we were at the events at the headquarters was when you talked about new ideas. What do you think about this, guys? What do you think about that? Everyone kind of put in different ideas, how the community can actually influence what happens at SavvSME. But what I really liked was your approach is, okay, we've got an ideas bin, very full, overflowing bin, but which of those ideas are we going to use, and how's that going to tie in with the grand vision that you have? Like, rather than just go, hey, let's put it on there and see what people do with it. It's like really everything that kind of gets put up there is really on purpose, and you have a really good idea of how it's going to unfold. You don't know until you actually do it, but when any new idea gets introduced, it's like it's been thrashed out totally, and then it gets put up. So I really liked that, and I think that's why it's worked so well.
Yeah, it's not perfect by any means at all, but because we have obviously limited resources, we have an amazing team. Apart from four of us, they're obviously in-house development team. You've probably met a few of them on that night as well. So we've got some SEO experts. We also have developers and so forth. And the great thing about passion is like it does move you forward. But the bad thing is that when you have a whole bunch of passionate people together, there's a lot of ideas flying around. And our ideas being seriously, as you say, is overflowing, which is great. But we have to be pragmatic as well, in terms of what we can physically do. And at the end of the day, we come back to our vision. And our vision is literally that, to help small business owners and to enrich their lives. Okay, so what can we do today that will give them, that extra, extra oomph, extra grunt, to help them, run their business? Is it more connections? Is it easier to do things? Is it easier to share, the content that you have in other social networks? So when we have, a vision that can, I guess, help us, drive, the company forward, it makes such a difference so that we don't get distracted with the little things that we built that nobody uses. For instance, one of the things that we've done is spending quite a bit of time getting our keywords right. So the engine that drives, if you like, the algorithms of how we, organize information in such a way that when you're in the zone for looking for information, the right information shows up, the right question shows up, the right article shows up, even the right people, the right top influencers, shows up as well. So in a zone for looking for information, it's all there. We spend a lot of time doing that because it is important. It's important to be, efficient, and it's important that they don't, sort of just go through our site and try and find their way, in a maze, of some sort. We're just really trying to just provide the information up front easily. So I guess it's our values, when we have the right, vision in mind, the right, I guess, strategy and just the camaraderie that we have, in the team, that we're all working towards the same thing, and that everyone in the team can voice their ideas and be heard. And we have a lot of passionate debates. We have a lot of passionate people. But that's what we like about it, because everyone is trying to sort of, imagine the head office, here where we're constantly talking about, okay, but if we do this, how is this person going to feel? If we do that, is that going to make their life better, or is it just going to make it harder? What are the things that we can do to help them get the maximum exposure? So we've I guess in most of the things that we've done, we've gone through a pretty detailed thought process. A lot of it is in the detail.
And it shows. Like, I think you've done a fantastic job. So, Phil, we've got to wrap it up. Where should people go? What's the web address to come and find out all about SavvSME and join in on the conversation?
Yeah, so the web address is www.savvysme.com.au. So SavvSME is spelled SavvySME.
.com.au. Excellent, man.
.com.au.
And so guys, jump in there. What I like to say is SavvSME is my second home. So I put my show on my site and my Pinterest and all my personal social accounts. But the only other place where I really am happy to store my videos and my show is on SavvSME. So yeah, it is my other home. So I'm an advocate. I'm a fan, and I just want to recommend guys go out there and join in and take a look for yourself. Thanks so much for your time, Phil. It's been awesome having you on. And I just think you've done a fantastic job.
Thanks very much, Peter. Thanks for having me.